you're going somewhere and you have a stroke. My father went to work. He was 35. He went to work healthy, complained of a headache, and passed out on the job. Went into a coma for 3 days and died, leaving a housewife at 33 with three children. And unfortunately, his mother didn't like my mother because my mother was too dark skinned. Yeah, she had a plan for my father who he's supposed to marry, and my father didn't marry who he wanted she wanted him to marry, and that was another chaos. So the land that he had, that he was going to add my mother's name to, didn't happen. So there was fight over the land, fight over everything. So I learned early in life it's important to have a plan in place, a written plan. Because we can say, oh, I talk to my kids. And I tell folks, that's nice. Do your kids remember what you said? And are they going to do what you said?
That's the
Be-
key.
because when emotions take over, it's not a kettle of fish. Where if something were to happen and you had, who was the person that you trust to handle your financial management? If you can't do your bills, if you weren't in a position to pay your bills or get your financial stuff done, who's the person that you trust to handle that affair? Is that in ink? Because your daughter can't just go to the bank and say, my mother isn't well, so I'm doing. The bank is going to say, who are you? We have to go by ink because it's your mother's or your father's financial stuff. We're responsible. So it has to be in ink. Does everyone here have their power of attorney for their financial management? If you don't,
I just updated my everything, what, 3 years ago? Updated everything.
it's
And I
good.
got everything.
It's good to have that done. And when it comes to your living will, if you were to need care, would you want to be on life support?
Yeah, I got that taken. Because it's important. Somebody
Well,
got to
that's
make
the only
that
thing
decision.
that I
Somebody,
really didn't do.
somebody has to decide if they
Right.
want. If the doctor says you are terminal, you're gonna die in a year. You're gonna die in a year. Would you want to be on life support?
For a year.
Would
Well,
you
I
want to
wouldn't
be
know.
on life support?
They're
Your
important
kids, your
questions
kids
because
may not want
I don't know
you to
what
not
they
be on
want me
life
to be.
support.
Yeah.
You may say, I don't want to be on life support. I'm gonna die. Just let me go home to glory. Your kids might say, no,
And that's the
and
problem.
they have you there. And then who pays the hospital bill? Do you have a plan that covers you 100%? If not, who pays the hospital bill? Somebody has to pay it because your debts don't die with you.
I had to really have, I mean, my daughter was so angry at me. But she can't take care of no business. Everybody know she back at my house. She's behind again, you know. So no, I said no.
You need
Listen to me clearly. I said Warren takes care of the business. 'Cause he knows my heart. He knows my mind. We talk often about. And then I got my um, younger cousin Lisa, who got her head on straight.
hmm
Will take care of my living, will medical, all medical
Because you
decisions.
see, you may have children.
Because my daughter will be,
Uh, you may have children, but if your children aren't good with money, it's not good for them to be
But
in
if you have
charge
more
of
than
your
one
money.
child, you need
If
to.
you have
They
more
might
than
fight
one
about why
child,
she let you do it.
listen,
I
it
was right
doesn't
on out the
matter.
house.
Listen, it doesn't matter who they want to argue. They want to argue from now till Timbuktu.
Yes. That's
There's
gonna make it
nothing worse than being ill and you can hear everybody in the hospital bed or something, and you hear the bickering over what's to get done. So I said, I'm the firstborn, so I should be the one to do so and so, but the firstborn one is not the most responsible one. So you have to make sure you have your stuff in ink. Does everyone here have their last will and testament done?
I'm in the process of getting it.
It's important because if, okay, I'll give you my family as an example. In my family, we have me, my sister, and my brother. My mother said, I have given your brother all that he's ever going to get. He's gotten all the money so far. He's gotten all of this so far. So when I die, she put in her will, she said, you get this percent, your sister gets this percent, your brother gets $1. Because in your will, you need, if you have multiple children, you need to have all the children getting something,
My mother did that
even
same
a
thing.
dollar. Because if it's not $1, they can contest and say,
Yes.
I am their child too.
Yes.
Or unless the person wrote in the will, because I gave Tom Brown all of his inheritance while he was living.
Yes.
So as a result, if you don't have something written explaining why you left that person out, or you don't leave at least $1,
Yes.
they can contest and they can win. And if you have no will, the person who you might want to get the stuff may not get the stuff because the courts will just split it down the line. So you need to make sure there are some people who are separated from their spouse, they're not divorced, but they're separated for 20 odd years. The spouse is living down south and they're living in Pennsylvania. But if they die, everything goes to,
The spouse.
You know that.
well,
Hattie
actually, no,
McDaniel
actually,
did her
actually, no,
husband
no,
a
no.
dollar.
Half goes to the spouse, and half goes to the children. I tell people, some people they get married, their spouse died or they got divorced, and there's some people are living with somebody, they have a common law relationship going on, and they've been together for 30 years. And they
Common law
love
is
each
not as
other,
common as it
but
used to
common
be.
law is not recognized in the state of
That's right.
Pennsylvania. So if their name is not on the house, if you live in the house together for 30 years,
Don't make no difference.
and the kids can't stand a bone in your body, and the person who owns the house should die, you're getting nothing.
Even though you put everything in.
You have no rights. You are down the bottom of the totem pole because in Pennsylvania, spouses, they don't pay inheritance taxes. So that's great. Your children, your grandchildren, daughter-in-law, son-in-law, they pay 4.5% inheritance tax. Your siblings pay 12% inheritance tax. Everybody else pays 15% inheritance tax. So imagine you're even in the will. You're going to have to pay, if you're not married, our common law, 15% inheritance tax. That's a lot of money.
It is. It makes no sense that I.
Exactly. And in the state of Pennsylvania, your debts don't die with you. And it's the only time that Uncle Sam takes his money last. So they freeze your assets. So that's frozen. After your assets are frozen, they say, okay, who do you owe? So all your debtors, everybody you owe, all your creditors are coming. Here's my bill, here's my bill, here's my bill, here's my bill. They have to get paid first. Now, there are some people who are asset rich, what I call asset rich, but money poor, meaning they have lots of things, but they've regular day to day with their money. There's not a lot of savings or anything. There's not liquid funds anywhere. If you have a mortgage on your home and you pass, the debt still has to be paid. So if you have $100,000 left on your mortgage, because some people buy their homes, refinance for the same 30 years, so then by the time they're 80, they still have a mortgage. 85, they still have a mortgage. You pass and you did not have a life insurance on your mortgage. You passed. Whoever's going to get the house have to find that $100,000. If you're going to give your asset to someone and you know you have debts, tell them lovingly, do you want my home? And they say, yes, mom, or yes, grandma, I want the house. Okay, great. I have a mortgage. And if I die, you're going to have to pay off the mortgage. It's about, I don't have, oh, how much money do you have on a mortgage? Oh, I have X amount of dollars. But I don't have that amount of money. Tell them to take out a life insurance policy on you to at least help to cover the cost of the debt. Because not everybody is liquid, have liquid, lot of liquid funds. Not everybody has an annuity or an IRA or a 401k or so on. Not everybody had it. Have it because not all jobs gave it, and that wasn't around years ago. So we need to make sure that in our planning, we want to make sure that if we don't, when it comes to our last will and testament, we have things put together, and we let the persons who are gonna inherit stuff, they know, especially if we have debts, that the debts need, like they said, need to be paid. They have to be paid before they even pay their inheritance tax. Because the debts are paid first. The inheritance tax comes next. Then they do the inheritance tax returns, and when the revenue department says, yes, you don't owe us any money, you can now transfer the funds into your name, into whoever, that's the only time they can transfer funds. There are people who have died, and they passed away, and the children didn't know about inheritance taxes and stuff, so they think the house is paid off, so it's my house now. And that's it. They're happy, they're just living in the house. But then they get old and say, you know what, I want to move because I can't handle the house anymore. And they go to try and sell the house. But when they go, if they live in Philly or any of the states, any of the counties, if you live in Philly, you'll see Philadelphia Property Records. Look up the name. The name is the grandmother 2 years ago. Then they have to pay the inheritance tax for the one that was there before, the next one down. Then there's plus the penalties for waiting that long. So everyone needs to check. Don't people often assume that because the parents died, I mean the house is mine. They say it's mine, so it's mine, and they just keep paying the bills. No, it can't work because if the state comes and say, I have a client that happened to her, she got a letter. Your inheritance taxes are $60,000, and you are late in so and so, and we are going to do so and so. And she began to freak out. She had to call this office, call that office, because they will do audits. So they say, but I've been living in my mother's house for how many years? I tell them, you're just lucky.
But
Because-
that's for a house that has a mortgage, not a person.
No, it doesn't matter.
If the house
The
is
ho-
already paid off.
Doesn't matter because when you're gonna pass a house on, any asset on to whoever you're gonna pass it on to, and then they need to change the name to theirs, and they can't change the name to theirs if they don't go through the probate process, unless you added their names to the deed. If you're gonna add someone's name to your deed, it should be giving them rights of survivorship. So it's joint tenants with rights of survivorship. If you don't do it that way, the state will assume that it's 50-50, which is not good because it means your 50 would still have to go through the probate process.
And another reason why some people wouldn't put the deed in the name.
Because they
you
know the kids.
child,
Yes.
done lost their car, done lost their
Listen,
done
you need,
lost
that's
houses
why
and everything.
you have to know your kids.
So my deed is not in Marlon's name.
Listen, you need to know your
because-
kids.
But I paid up front.
Well, if you know your home, you have a home, and they know should you pass, I was gonna go to whoever. Let them know, okay, you're my son. The house value, Pennsylvania, go on Philly records. You see the value of the home. The home is worth X amount of dollars. 4.5% of that is your inheritance tax. Make sure you have that
Can
money.
lay it up front.
You can,
Yeah. And that
but many people
don't
don't.
want to. I know, but
No.
I wanted to because
Yeah, but
I
like
don't
now,
have
like she was
nobody
saying,
else but one
if you
child.
pay, like say, I sign the house over to my daughter,
Hmm.
now she won't have to pay inheritance tax for that.
No, because in the state of Pennsylvania, the only time you don't pay inheritance tax.
But it's not inheritance, I'm selling it to her.
If you're selling it to her now, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's
do it
great.
For $1, I can sell it
For
for
a
that
dollar.
dollar, that's what.
Right. that works.
Yes, that's what I
That
was.
way it'll be hers and your name will be off of it.
Yeah.
But as long as your name is on it,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be required. There is inheritance tax. As long as your name is on it, yes.
Yeah, even if like if you were to sell your house, like if I sell my house to my son for $1, his name would have to go on it.
Yes, and
But
your
then
name would.
and by me being, by my house being paid for, and I've been there over the 10-year period where the grace period they gave you for not upping the taxes in Pennsylvania, now that would,
Take
Yes.
place.
that would take place.
Yes, because it's no longer your home.
Yeah, so the taxes.
Then another thing that people think about, and I did think about this, if you know if you know your children,
Yes.
and if you don't feel secure, and they won't put you behind in a home,
I have an aunt.
that's another
I have an
thought
aunt.
that you gotta think about.
I have an
thinking
aunt.
about
You
that.
see, it depends. You have to know you have
Well,
to
you
understand
might
something
not do that, but
because
some people don't.
I know,
if
that's what I
you
would need to
if
put
you're
that.
gonna if you are going
know
to
your
put
children.
give your home to your child, you can't if you want to make sure that they cannot kick you out of your own home, then you make sure that while they are the owners of the home, you are the tenants for life in the home, because you can add that on your deed that they may own the home but you're a tenant for life.
And if they got bad credit,
But
wanna
that's
think
why you
about
have to know your
know
kids.
That's what I'm saying.
You cannot
You know,
do this
happened.
haphazard.
This happened to
You
a
have
friend
to
of mine.
think this through. If you know your kids are not good with
It
money,
makes you think.
they have student loans, because student loans don't die your debts. Student loans don't die with you. So you know that you have your kids have student loans and they're not paying the debt. Don't put their names on your deed. There will be a lien on your house because now they have assets, and student loans don't die.
And
The
some
interest
people
just
say,
grows.
Like Diane, she don't even think about stuff like that because she don't think it could happen to her. But
Oh
believe me,
well,
it
I've
happens to
seen.
a
Oh no,
lot
I've
of
seen it
people.
happen. Oh, I have seen it happen.
You love your.
That's
you,
why
you
I
know,
suppose your kids
Well,
are
I don't trust
wonderful,
nobody.
and
But
you
it's just
and
the
you
fact that,
love
you know,
them, and you wish the best for them, and you know they're good kids,
Oh well.
but they can be good kids, but not good with money.
It's a good thing.
I know someone who, she has one child. She has a daughter. She gave the daughter her home, puts it in her name because she says it's her house when I'm gone, so I don't have to pay inheritance tax. But the daughter got married, and when the daughter got married, after a while, the husband said, "Your mother needs to find somewhere to go."
Thinking that strange.
And what did the daughter do? She submitted to her husband, put her mother somewhere else where she was not comfortable.
She didn't want to live with her? She didn't want her.
She was fine before the husband.
Oh, but he didn't want to be bothered.
But he, right, because now she's getting up in age, she requires more care. He didn't want to have to deal with that. And she submitted to him. That's why I tell people, no matter what's going on, I ask the question, if you know you have your child and they have assets, I said, we pray that they never get divorced. However, do a prenup. Do a prenup, because things happen. And because things happen, if you are married, everything is going down the line 50-50. And if the daughter doesn't have the money to keep the house, then what's she gonna do? Have to sell the house to pay the husband his half. And then what? She has nowhere to live.
If you have a situation where if you have to go into a home, the first thing they want to know is what home.
Oh, I'm going to that next.
Okay.
Because please remember as well, if you decide I'm going to give my house to my son or my daughter, and you gave it to them for $1, and you're healthy and fine, 2 years later, you have to go into a nursing home. Does everyone here have a long-term care plan? We need to have a plan or have a discussion to have a plan, because you need to have things in ink. If you don't have long-term care insurance, If you have an annuity, you should talk to your person about finding out if your annuity has what they call the doubler rider on it. The doubler rider says that if it has the income rider, you get your income, whatever your income is. If you need care, it will double the income for up to 10 years.
I have that.
So that will help because not everybody wanted to get long-term care insurance, and many people didn't think they'll ever get sick. And some people say to me, my mother lived to 100 years old and she died in her sleep and she was healthy all her life. And I said, great. Do you eat what your mother ate? The fruits your mother ate had seeds. Your fruits don't have seeds. And if your fruits don't have seeds, they're not natural fruits. Do you walk as much as your parents used to walk? No, because most of us drive or get driven.
Yes.
So the exercise part isn't there either. So there is no comparison. And since there is no comparison, I tell you, because the Bible says, by his stripes you're healed, to be healed you first have to be sick. So yes, God can heal you, but for him to heal you, you had to be sick for him to heal you. And unless he whispered in your ear, you will never get sick. You have no way of knowing if it's going to happen. And if you have no way of knowing if it's going to happen, you need to be prepared. We hope for the best, but we plan for the worst. Because we don't know, and the state of Pennsylvania looks back how many years, folks? 5. So you put your son's name on your deed, and you give it to him, your name is off. 2 years later, you now need care. The state, you go to the nursing home. Let's say you had a plan and you have your insurance, but you have your long-term care insurance 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, $200 a day was a lot of money. However, now the average nursing home is $300 a day in the average one, not the nice one. The nice one is like $450, $500
A day?
a day.
Yeah.
A day. The average one.
Yeah.
The average one is $300 a day.
And the first thing they do is look to see if you own your home.
They ask you. They ask you first. Do you have insurance? And if you say no, then they ask you, do you have the funds to pay for the care? And you say no. Then they say, okay. The cost to stay here is about $12,000 a month.
And that's on the low side.
That's
Yes.
yes. I didn't. That's not the $450 to $500 one. That's the average one. The average one's about 9 something 10. If you are on Medicaid, which means you have low income, you don't have a say as to where you go. You go wherever there's an open bed. So you could end up in New Jersey. Can your family visit you every day or every other day in New Jersey? That's going to take a toll. And if they can't, then what? Then you're kind of on your own. Not all nursing homes are nice. So if you don't have family coming and you don't have the cost, then they say, okay, let's look at your assets. What do you have? You have to, before the state fully comes in, if you're not on Medicaid, before the state comes in, you have to have resources of $8,000, not more, and income of $2,400 or less. If you have your home, if someone lives in your home, they're not going to take the home. They're just going to make a note. Make a note. You have your home at 123 Main Street, zip code 19120. Great. Okay, your bank account, how much? Your savings, do you have life insurance? Yes. Do you have cash value on the policy? Yes. Okay, do you know how much? Oh, okay, which insurance company? Okay, we'll get information, don't worry. And they write that down. And they get all your information, all the things on the list, and they say, okay, so you're going to have to spend on your resources to $8,000. They won't take, if someone is living in your home, you're just gonna have to spend down the value of your home. They won't take the home. If you're, they just have the lien on it. If you pass, however, and you have your in your will, you're gonna give the house to Tom, and Tom says, I'm gonna sell the house. If Tom says he's gonna sell the house, then all those folks, all that money you owed for the nursing home, and they're all gonna be saying, we want our money. And you're gonna have to pay them because they're keeping a track of if the house is being sold
I
or
want to ask you a
not.
question. Now,
Yeah.
suppose I moved out of my house, sold it, and moved into an apartment.
That's fine. How long ago did you move into the apartment? Because if it's less than the 5 years, they're still gonna count the 5 years.
But I'm no longer in that house.
They don't
so-
care.
Okay, so.
If you sold the house, you have the money.
Not necessarily. Suppose you don't have it.
Well, if you don't have the money, you're gonna have to come up with it because
The
you're gonna
value
have
of
dead.
having the money.
if
I'm
if
dead
you
now, so
if
what
the,
happens with that?
if you die, whoever's the estate will have to pay it. If
But
you
there's
if
no house
if you
anymore.
if you have a will,
Okay.
if you have a will, people who are gonna inherit the different stuff, well, their assets are gonna end up going because they're going to sell what they have to pay off the debt. Your debts leave first.
I was so blessed. I was my godchild's only everything. Okay, she didn't have nobody else. And I had been taking her to the doctor and back and forth. I saw something going on. That doctor was so gracious to me. He said, Miss Jackson, I want you to consider putting your name on Marguerite's house because I see some differences. Something's getting ready to come down the road. And he couldn't say but so much, but I was so thankful. I took her that business, but she lived a long time after I put my name in the house. And not only did I take care of all her business with my checking account, so I was paying everything. I also was able, when it was time for her to go to the nursing home, which I kept her 7 years out,
That was wise.
before I even let her go to her nursing home.
That was
It
wise.
was she only went temporarily. My son was getting married, I would be away 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I wanted somebody to really take care of her. And when I came back, they said, Miss Jackson, Marguerite's a lot of attention. I said, yeah, she receives a lot of attention. We're working around the clock on that. She said, well, we can take her and it won't affect none of your finances.
Because
She
see,
lived 7 years in the nursing home.
you see,
God was so good
God
to
gave
me.
you favor.
I mean,
Because
but
I know a lot
I
of-
had my business in order, like
Yes,
the,
you did.
The doctor told me to do.
And you had the time because anything that was there, if she had anything, and if you have something and you know the likelihood exists, okay, in my family, it's okay, all the women got Alzheimer's at a certain age. Then you start to prepare because you pray it doesn't happen to you, but just in case it does, you have a plan in place. You need to have things written down. Do you have a list of everything you have? Meaning your bank accounts, where it is, bank account number, the policies you have, the debts you have. Is it written down? And does someone know where to find it? Because what's the point? Oh, do you have beneficiaries on your bank account? Because what's the point of having a beneficiary and they don't know which bank it is and they don't know they're the beneficiary? That makes no sense. Or you have, sorry, there are people who have passed and had people as beneficiaries on their life insurance. And they didn't know. And they passed and it ended up in unclaimed funds
Yeah.
because the people didn't know.
Yes, it is.
You need to have everything written down. Okay, I have a bank account here. It's PNC at ShopRite. Then I have another bank account number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have one at TD Bank in Cheltenham Mall. That's 345678. I have one at Wells Fargo, at wherever, and so they know where to go. They know where to find it. And when you're doing, I tell people too, when you're doing your last will and testament, please be clear and be specific. Please don't write, I bequeath to everything I have I give to my children. But when you were raising the children, you also raised some other children that you didn't legally adopt. That you're all deemed one big happy family until the will is read.
Then they're no longer related.
Because when the will is read and you say, my children, the legal children are those you adopted and those of your loins. So even if they thought, oh, we're going to do it together, doesn't matter. Because legally, it's the children of your loins or the children you adopted. So and you may have, let's say you have 3 children. I'm very sure of the 3, if they all gonna say, okay, when we get ours, we're gonna share it with you, that is gonna be one who is going to say, not mine.
Yep. It's always
And then you have the chaos, the headache, the backache, the bellyache. You want to make sure that you have everything in ink. You have everything flowing no matter what. You don't take anything by chance. We tend to overlook stuff because we think our family knows, we talk,
They
no.
don't fight, honey. You gonna find out what fight.
Listen, that happens all the time. When folks pass away, that's when the chaos happens, when folks get sick. Oh, the doctor says it's time to pull the plug. One says, you're not killing my mother. The next one says, but mom wouldn't want to be like this. And the family was close. Now bicker. And then the owner said, no, I am in charge and I'm pulling the plug. You killed my mother because you wanted her stuff. And that's why it's important to have everything in ink.
No,
Do
I mean,
you-
but like my mother did what my
Do
mother
you-
gave my brother a dollar, my oldest brother. It was a pain in the neck. And all the money she left us, there was 6 of us. We split it. We gave him the rest, you know. But we that mom, you know how mean she could be, so she gonna give him the rest. And when she said something, she meant it.
Yes,
then there was the
my
6 of
mother
us, and we
too.
just- the 5
My mother
left.
says $1.
Yeah, $5. 5 of us were left, and we.
You're so nice.
Yeah, I had
I wouldn't be doing that. I'm so sorry.
sister next to
I
me
know
was
my
the
brother.
biggest,
Yeah, I know mine.
take care of business person. So when mom started, Betty took care of our business. Then when she passed, Betty told us each what to do. Betty gave us each what we supposed to get. Ain't nobody
Because-
thought no more. But that's a blessing.
That
That's
is
not
because
every family.
that is not in most families.
Yeah.
Because I know of families who were really close. When you look on the wall, you see all the Thanksgiving pictures, the 4th of July pictures, the Mother's Day, Father's Day pictures, and the parents died without the will.
It's ugly.
One went and emptied out the bank account. Another one said, I'm not moving onto the house. I was the one who took care of them when they were, and now they don't talk. I'm sure the house isn't in any of their names yet because there was no will. And person who wanted the house didn't have the funds to pay the inheritance taxes to get the house.
Because I got a friend, she
So-
blamed her mother because her mother refused to take care of business. Refused to do it.
A lot of people don't. They don't want to think they're gonna die.
And that's the thing.
Well-
But I tell people, you're living a healthy life. But the Bible says it's appointed unto man once to die. We hope we live until Jesus comes. But just in case he disagrees, I tell people, I said, my plan is for my mother to live until Jesus comes. But just in case,
You have another one.
yeah, man. I said, but just in case the Lord says no, if I'm going to give some, if I have it in here, I have it in there. Yes, I think I have it. No.
You can use mine.
No, I have extra in my bag. Just in case the Lord disagrees with me, we want to make sure that we have our house. I have extra, so you can see. We have our house in order. We need to. We need to. Long-term care is not cheap. Long-term care is not a joke. You can go broke for long-term care. You can say, okay, you have in your will everything. Have you ever heard people say, okay, I have in my will, I have this, I told Mary Jane, or I put so-and-so at my house, but he's gotten on my last nerve. I'm going to just write him out of, on my will. I tell folks, the contract always supersedes the will. So if you have a life insurance policy and you had Tom Brown, but then Tom Brown irritates you, so you put in your will, the beneficiary of my life insurance I give to Mary Sue. Mary Sue may be jumping for joy, but Mary Sue has no say because the contract was with for it to go to John Brown.
But you can change that, right? I know I've gone in and.
You can change the beneficiary
Of your life insurance.
of going on if you change it, but a lot of people don't.
And the percentages too. I know
You can change the percentage, you can change the name, you can change everything except the owner.
The what?
The owner.
Oh, the
You-
owner,
The owner. But you can change anything you want on the life insurance policy. But if you don't and decide, I'm going to put it in my will,
Yeah, it doesn't, okay.
no. The contract always supersedes the will. You need to make sure that you have your stuff together. Does everyone have their end of life plan done? Meaning, you want to be buried or cremated, you want to be this. They know if you have a plot, they know where the plot is.
I've made
They know-
arrangements to give my body to chat to
To science. Yeah, I have a number of people who do that.
And
I said I was gonna
that
go
means
too.
I don't have, they'll cremate what's
That's,
left.
that's what I said
And
too.
it don't cost my family nothing.
I said that
So my
too.
life insurance will go to them to do whatever
What
they
they
want
want.
to do.
Yeah.
They don't have to
I
use it to
said
bury
that.
me.
I said I'm doing that too because I said if it goes to science, they can take what they want to take, donate what they want to donate. Somebody wants my heart and they're gonna live great. I have a good liver. They can use that. It can save a few lives. I'm going to glory. I don't care.
How do you set that up? Through a hospital? Or
There's a humanities place that you can call and they'll send you information about it. I'll
So
give
if,
you the
if you need
information.
if you need to know how to do that,
All right.
you just speak to her.
Yeah, I'll send you a text, 'cause that's
Yeah, but
something
it's,
I want to
there is something. So there you have options, but do your children know? Do you have it in ink?
And this is interesting because I told all my family, including my grandsons, and the first thing, they were the ones that, Grandma, we can't let you do that. Yes,
Have
you
it-
can.
have it in
Because I'm
ink.
planning to do it.
Have it in ink.
Yeah,
Because
they were
you
gonna
can
fight it.
say, you can say you want to do. I know that if I were to predecease my mother, she would not be doing that. She would be burying my body.
Yes.
So I've had my end of life plan done, and my sister is in charge because she will do what I say.
I don't have a
So
choice.
you
My
need-
brother paid for everything already.
So you
He
need,
didn't go on.
so you
Everything
need to
paid
make
for.
sure you have your stuff together. If you have a plot, somebody knows where the plot is. They know what's the plot number. Because I know of someone that happened to. They had a plot, but didn't tell the kids where the plot was. They couldn't find the paper, so they had to find another burial plot and bury the mother somewhere else. Even though there's a plot somewhere out there with for their mother.
They should have everything in one.
You need to have things in ink, and you need to have it in a safe place. If your
And
house
somebody
were
needs
to
to know where
catch
it is.
fire, you should be able to grab it and run.
I got a firebox,
That's what I
I
have.
got a water and fire box, and I got a water and fire bag that I stick inside. The bag goes up and downstairs with me. If I gotta run out the house, the bag is the first thing
Well, I
going
have
outside.
everything
Everyone
in my
is-
house and then
You know,
everything in
so
my
it goes
niece's
up,
house.
and at night it
Someone-
goes into
yes.
the.
You need to make sure it's in a place where someone knows where to
But just
find
make
it.
duplicates and give it to a family
Yes.
member. So that's what I got it in my niece's.
If you're,
house.
yes.
drive
Oh,
or
please
USB
don't
drive.
put things in your safety deposit box. The things that are going to be needed at your death, don't put in your safety deposit box. It will be frozen. They will not be able to access it.
Oh, that's right, 'cause you.
What about online?
If it's online, make sure that someone knows the password. Make sure that if it's online, just print it.
Yeah, and
Get
be careful
because
with
because
anything online.
because your
Everybody
computer
else is
can
looking at your
crash.
business.
Not only that, your computer
online.
can
Get hacked.
crash. It can
Yeah.
get hacked.
Oh,
If your computer crashes, then all your information
Yeah.
is gone.
hey, I got 3 broken computers home, tablets, all my phone because it had too much information on it. And my daughter said, "You ought to give it away." I said, "Ain't nobody getting this."
It's
I says,
important to have your
you
things
know.
in ink, and someone needs to know where to find it. I remember you gave me a question here because I know time is going. I know you gave me a question here. Once the question said to me, okay, I've heard you talk about trusts before. Now, there are various types of trusts.
Living trust, is that what?
You have the revocable living trust, and you have the irrevocable trust. You have the special needs trust. Special needs trust, if you have a child or someone you're leaving behind, you may leave behind, and that person has a disability, they're autistic or they can't help themselves, then you may have a special needs trust to protect what they have so that Medicaid won't go and mess with that. And they're able to get what they need. Someone is in charge of it and they're okay. You have the irrevocable trust. The irrevocable trust, nothing goes through probate when you have the irrevocable trust. No inheritance tax when you have the irrevocable trust.
Can you say that again?
So that's the
The
best one.
irrevocable,
Trust.
the
So-
irrevocable trust, that does nothing in it goes through probate. No inheritance tax, no nothing. But for every pro, there is a con. You have no say once it's written. Once the irrevocable trust is done, it's done. The only time you can make a change to the irrevocable trust is if the beneficiaries agree and the courts say yes. If the courts don't say yes, say whatever reason you have isn't a valid reason, the courts say no, then tough luck.
So, I apologize for being late, so I'm gonna
Okay.
finish what you said already.
Okay.
So the whole idea of the trust is, I have a house, I have, husband, I have a house, we have children. So I know we've kind of hit on this before over the last couple of months. We've been saying, you don't just kind of give the house to the oldest child, you put it in a trust, like what? Clarify what we're
Every
trying to do.
every situation, every situation is different.
Okay,
If your purpose is you want to give this to, you want to stay in the family from now until eternity, then you have the irrevocable trust. The irrevocable trust, however, means that you, after you've put things in ink, it's signed off, notarized, everything is done, nobody in your family or nobody who is going to inherit from the irrevocable trust or benefit from the trust can manage that trust.
so if it's revocable,
If it's
it's
irrevocable,
irrevocable, what I'm saying, what the opposite is.
okay,
Let's say my
then
children's name are Mary,
then
Johnny,
you have the revocable living trust.
Okay,
The revocable living trust, you can manage that trust. However, while it doesn't go through probate, the beneficiaries still have to pay the inheritance taxes.
okay, so it doesn't go through probate,
But
you
they
have to pay inheritance.
have to pay the inheritance taxes. You can manage it, you can change it, amend it. That's the revocable living
So
trust.
the probate, I might have passed it.
Okay,
16, I can't
no,
remember.
probate, okay, the probate process. You die. Okay, I'm dead. I've gone to glory, praising the Lord. But I have 2 homes, bank accounts. I didn't have a beneficiary in anything. I just said I'm putting everything in my will. So I did my will. My bank accounts go to my nephew. My house, one house goes to my sister. The next house goes to my brother. Okay, I pass. I have debts, however. I have a mortgage on each home, and I have student loans. So I die. My executor takes my will takes my death certificate, takes their ID, and at least $500. That's the minimum. And go to City Hall.
Right.
They give them that money, give them the documents, and City Hall says, okay, we're going to mail you the forms, which has the number and so on. When you get that, then you go to the bank and give the bank the letter that says you are the executor of the estate from City Hall. And the bank gives you an EIN number. So the EIN number covers the funds, the bank accounts, liquid funds, and the number from City Hall, that from the will, covers everything else. Okay, then the next step, they send a letter. Mary Esther Williams has died. Who does she owe? They do the social security number, so your credit stuff, and everybody gets a letter. Esther has died. So the letters are coming in now. She owed me for this, she owes that, she owes on this mortgage, and she owes on this mortgage. We need to get the money for the mortgage for house A, which is 50,000, house B is 70,000. Okay. That has to be paid before we go to the next step.
So all those people that, like, say, let's say there's still a mortgage on the house, they have to get paid from whatever the next.
Whatever you have, it's either, if let's say if you had a life insurance to cover the mortgage, then the life insurance would pay off the mortgage.
Well, let's just not say the mortgage, let's say the house is paid for and,
Mhm.
let's say you owe Sears, I don't know why that's coming up in my brain.
Okay, so you owe Sears.
Right.
Nothing can be transferred to anybody until all the debts are paid.
So it's not like, I don't know what this is 2016.
Doesn't matter.
I
You-
can't
you
send
owe
them a
Sears-
letter, you know, my mom passed away, cancel
You,
debt, that's not what
you,
happened.
no, you can't. You
No, they
can,
want their
no,
money.
they know your mother is dead.
Oh, okay.
That's why they are sending the letter.
Well, like, well, you know, she knows my mom. My mom. took
If
care
if
of
if
me,
you
so-
say if you cannot say
Right.
there is no estate,
Oh,
meaning there's nothing, there's no will, there's nothing.
She's not here. No, she's not here.
If you cannot say
There's no estate.
there's no estate, which means there's no money in the bank,
Right.
there's no nothing.
Okay.
If you can't say that, then you really are on your
Then
own.
then you get all these letters.
You're gonna get all the letters to say you owe, you owe, you owe, and when it's paid, they tell the court it's paid. They'll tell them it's paid. So once it's paid, then you get to the next step. That will come again and say, okay, you have all the debts are paid, wonderful. Inheritance taxes are due.
Okay, so after the debts are paid, then you have to pay inheritance tax.
Yes, so inheritance taxes. Husband and wife. Notice I said husband and wife, not common law relationship.
Diane,
There's a ring, I need the ceremony, and it's legal, husband and wife.
you going to pass?
Husband
No,
and
Patsy's
wife,
not here.
husband,
Okay, sorry.
husband and wife, 0% inheritance tax. Yay!
Say this again?
Husband and wife, 0.
So that means if
If
one of us
if one of you
passes,
pass, no inheritance tax.
no, okay,
However, children, grandchildren, daughter-in-law, son-in-law, 4.5% inheritance tax.
that's if the parents are both deceased and the children are the ones who are
That
living.
whoever died, if they fall under the category of mother, father, say they're the children, the grandchildren, the son-in-law, or the daughter-in-law, and they're inheriting, their inheritance tax is 4.5%.
So that's what
So,
they get from, say, the
That's what
insurance
they have to pay.
what they have to pay.
They have to. So if the house is worth $100,000, they're paying 4.5% inheritance tax on the $100,000. If the house is worth $600,000, they're paying 4.5% of $600,000.
But if you have life insurance, that may take care of it.
Exactly.
You said
I'm
the
sorry.
key word.
I'm
They
saying
take care of
that
it.
if
The way things have went
Can-
up, you don't know if that little bit.
so,
of life
that's why I tell
insurance-
people you need to. That's why you need to have that discussion. Do your kids want your house?
That's a question.
Because we all assume our kids want our home. But I know of people who have left their children they're home and the kids say, I never wanted that. I'm not taking on that stress.
And it end up being
So the
a
house
hard-
is end up abandoned, living out.
And even that, they might not even be able to afford the upkeep.
Exactly.
There's a
Because
house in our block that's been vacant for like a gazillion years, and we just found out about a house behind us that finally got renovated, still haven't sold it, but we found out from someone else that the children were arguing over it. You know, they had two daughters, and when mom passed, they had since moved, but the house was still in their name, and we found out a couple of months ago that that's what was happening. They were arguing.
that happens a lot.
Yeah, and again, living, we went to have some birthday parties, and you think these two sisters are loving each other, and
No, when
Well,
death
that's what
comes,
we want. I want my house to be, I struggled for years to pay for that house. It's worth some money now.
if you have a reverse mortgage on your
Oh,
home,
that's the worst.
it's a debt. So
Worst.
it's your children or your beneficiaries, you let them know. Do you want the house? They say, yes, mom, I want the house. I said, I have a reverse mortgage though. It's a loan.
That's all it is.
It's a debt. So it has to be paid within a year of you dying.
Yeah, I heard somebody,
Well,
a
if you
couple
sell
people
the-
lost
if they
houses
sell
by
the
getting that
house,
reverse mortgage,
You know, if
Spend
they,
that
can
money,
you, under a reverse
not
mortgage,
thinking,
if
went
you
on all
want
these
one of
family
the
trips and
children, if they
everything.
want the house, can
But
you
they
apply
can't take
that
it unless-
$1
Oh,
sale?
if you dead.
under
No.
the
Until you
reverse-
die, yeah.
You can't, because when
transfer.
you do a reverse mortgage,
But that means
you're
House
hold
to
hold
be
on,
in the family.
hold on, because I know time is going.
Yes.
When you do a reverse mortgage, it's a loan. So because it's a loan, if you decide, okay, I want to now give my house to my child, you can't give it to your child unless you pay off that loan. Because it's gonna say there's a loan of $100,000 on the house. You have to pay off the loan before you can give the house to your child. If you die with the reverse mortgage, your child will have to know that they have a year, up to a year to pay it off.
Or they can sell the house.
Or the house is gonna become, so when you sign that contract, the contract says that they have a year. So if you did a reverse mortgage with the bank, if you did a reverse mortgage with Wells Fargo, I don't know if they do reverse mortgage, but let's say you did a reverse mortgage with ABC Company. ABC Company owns your home almost, because it's a loan that you're not paying and it is accruing interest. So if you pass, your kids need to know before you pass. Listen, I did a reverse mortgage. And if they say, Mom, but why did you do that? I really didn't want to deal with this anymore. So I did a reverse
I would
mortgage.
never do that, but I understand that it can work for some people. Like
It-
if you have kids and your kids are situated and they're fine and they don't need the proceeds from the sale of your house and you need the money and you want to enjoy the last
Listen.
years of your life, it's worth it for that reason.
Yes.
I would never do it, but I can see where when
But
you
I
get
Every
officials to
everybody's situation is different.
Yes.
So based on your situation, you need to choose what you want to do. Because I know people who say, Esther, I've given my kids everything. I have all these debts. I'm retired. I don't want to have to be dealing with this no more. I've paid into this house, and one daughter is living in Texas, another one is in North Carolina. They did not come back here. I'm getting my money while I can and enjoy it while I can, and then I'm done. One less thing to worry about, and I'll enjoy the equity I've built in my home.
I had somebody say, and it really grieved my spirit. My heart was kind of grieved, but I can understand where they go because their kids done took advantage all these
I know
years
people
of
who
all
did
the
that.
hard work and everything, and don't appreciate nothing. And she said, "When I'm going, I don't care."
I know somebody who did that though. I know somebody who did reverse mortgage and didn't tell the kids.
But
The
it was still
grandkids
hurt.
came, moved back into her home, treated her badly. She did a reverse mortgage when they went out. When they went out, because they didn't want them to know, she did the reverse mortgage, signed the papers, got the money. They didn't know. She enjoyed her latter years and she died. And when she died, that's when they're knowing.
So then what happens to the house? I've heard of it.
They have a year. They have a year to pay it off.
And if they ain't got
And if they don't have the money to pay it off, and she knows they don't have the money to pay it off,
Okay, so you reverse mortgage, you sign papers, and they start giving you money every month?
you can get it in pieces, or they give you a lump sum. They can pay
Oh,
off
you
your
can get a
mortgage.
lump sum.
Yeah, you get
Yeah.
lump sum.
So, okay, owe something on your house, you have to, your house has to be paid off to do this?
No,
Oh.
a lot of people do it because they have a mortgage still.
Oh, okay.
And they don't want to have to pay a mortgage. And a lot of people, and I talk about this too, when you're retiring or you're gonna retire, you need to make sure you know what your life is gonna look like when you retire. Because when you are gonna retire, your income, you say your expenses are X, you should have a sheet that says your expenses are X. The highest it could ever be, the highest gas bill you ever had, the highest light, electric, the highest water bill. Don't use the medium one, the highest one, and you go down. My insurances are this, my this is that. Food I normally spend is this. You're gonna spend more on food because you're now home, so you're gonna add a little extra percentage to that, and you had a total. That's what my total expenses are on a worst case scenario. Okay, should I retire? What will my Social Security be? Do I get a pension? If I get a pension, what's my pension gonna look like?
And you can't always be sure of that. I know
I
somebody
know,
that
yes, I know that too
actually
because
company he would work for in
closed
fact,
down. I know somebody that happened
went
to a client.
bankrupt.
Yeah.
And they allowed the government passed a bill that he could that they could not stop they could stop paying pensions, and he had been retired for like 2 years.
And I know some people that didn't take out a
Wow.
pension.
I mean, after
You know, you
retirement.
have to take that
Yeah.
out. So some people lived on their.
On their
lived on
401k.
what they 401k or whatever.
Yes, and that's the next thing.
And
I tell people, if you have
that's a mess.
your IRA or say you don't have a pension, but you have your 401k or 43B, 457, whatever it is. Some people just put it into an IRA and then they take money out every month to try and make ends meet. I tell people, don't do that. Don't do that. If you have an IRA and you know your expenses are X, your Social Security is Y, but Y don't equal to X, you say, okay, if I have a 401k, how much money do I need to live, to match or extra, so I can at least go on a trip now and again? You look and you have your FA person, because there are annuities that have income riders that you can activate to create another stream of pension. So you'll always have income for the rest of your life.
Can you explain what annuities are?
Annuity is an insurance product that has an investment twist. So you have, you go to people get the phone, go to the bank and they get their IRAs. Also, the IRAs are variable. The indexed annuities is the one I would recommend. The indexed annuities say if you have $1 and the market goes up, you'll have maybe like $1.50, $2. The market goes down, you keep your $2. You might get a 1%, some will give you a 1% increase, but most will keep it level. So it works like a step.
So you buy it
So-
from the bank?
Some banks, not all banks. But if you want to, I'll give you some information. I'll give it to you and you can pass it out to everybody.
Okay.
But what you want to do is make sure that whatever you're doing, if you do an annuity, because it's an insurance product, insurances are there, so it should never put you in a worse position. Insurances are made to put you in a better position.
Can I ask you about this? I'm seeing a lot of commercials now, sell your life insurance if you got life insurance. What is that all about?
They talk about selling your life insurance.
Yeah.
They,
Why would you do that?
Yeah, yeah, but I don't understand. They're really promoting it. For the past year, I've noticed they're really promoting it.
Yes,
Lots of.
they are.
there are because there are some companies that they have the life insurance and it has in it a rider. So during every life insurance can't be sold. Every life insurance, a term policy can't be sold. Why? It builds no cash value.
That's it. It's what it is.
It's,
and
yes,
nothing more.
yes, and it ends. So for those who have life insurances, you should check to see, do I have a term life, a paid up, or a straight permanent with a whole life or universal life policy? No, every situation is different. If you have a loan, if you have an insurance to cover the loan, then I'd say you can get a term life. Because, meaning if you have a mortgage and you have a 30-year mortgage, you can get a term life insurance that covers 30 years.
Okay. And then what?
So if you pass before the mortgage is up, it will pay off the mortgage,
Okay.
and you have the extra money.
And the next option?
The next option is to have the permanent life, which fall under universal life or whole life policies. Whole life policies are for life, whether it's paid up or a single payment. There are some people who don't like to make the monthly payment, and they say, "Oh, I have my money in my bank. It's in my bank account, and they can just go and get that money from my bank to pay for my funeral." And I tell them, that's wonderful, but you know your bank is frozen, right? And whatever you have in there, they have to pay inheritance taxes on them. What's the point? It makes more sense to take that same 10,000 you have in the bank to put it into a single payment whole life, and that 10,000 will now give you 15,000, and it goes to your beneficiaries tax free. So that's how I say, in our planning, every situation is different. Permanent life insurance, whether whole life or universal life, they're there for life. You can decide if you're going to pay until you die, or you make one time a single payment policy, or you make it short, like you pay for 10 years and then you're done. And it'll still be there for life. That's why it's permanent insurance. But you need to know the type of insurance you have. When you get some insurances, you get the statement every year. And when you get the statement, you should look at the statement. Is your cash value going up, or is your cash value going down? If your cash value is going down, it means your life insurance is dying. It will die.
And the value of your house, where you live. Even when I bought my house,
Mm-hmm.
40 years ago, maybe 40 years ago, 30 years ago, whatever,
Mhm.
40. I paid $7,000 for it.
Yeah, but it's not worth that $7,000 now.
So now it's I live in front of Fairmont Park.
Mhm.
Now I get calls every day.
Yes.
Letters, they want to buy my property, but they only want to pay me
A little.
a little bit. And down the street at Oxford Street, them houses they going for
Because they're
$350,000.
building new stuff down there.
Exactly.
Are they
So
allowed
that's
to
why
harass
I
you like
wanted
that?
my house to be
They
property.
can, but
Inheritance.
they're not really supposed to harass you. And sometimes you wonder, where do they get my information from? It's public record that you own the property. So they
We
can
put too
go
much
they
information
can
on
go
that
on
internet.
Philadelphia property records and just put in an address, and they'll know who owns it, how much it's worth, all of that going down, and then they just go on whitepages.com, put in your name, and they have your phone number and your address.
They know everything.
It even tells them how much you paid for it
Yeah.
and
Yes.
when you paid for
Yes,
it.
they tell
City
you.
records can do that.
If they want to sell houses so bad, my mother told her
Gotta
how
go
many years ago
downtown.
they
Your
won't
address,
do
I can just
all
type your name.
Yes.
If I know my address, so I can do for the neighbor, like, when we're looking at houses, like how much that house is worth, you can look on Realtor or Redfin,
Yes.
whatever it is, and you can see how much the house sold for,
Yeah.
you get a whole interior.
Yes, you look inside of the last time you had the house, and they have the
Inside the
picture,
house?
and you go on Google,
Yeah,
and
they
they'll see
sent
the
me
last
down with a
time.
picture of
So,
my
so,
house
so the
on
last
the
time
one
you
envelope.
planted the flowers outside, you see the flowers, the picture with the recent flowers you
Yeah,
planted
with the
outside.
car you had 10
Yes.
years ago.
Cars that no longer own.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's why
but they
we-
call
that's
me
why.
all the time. I've been married. I would have been married for 59 years, and I moved out of my mother's house when I got married.
Mhm.
They called me and asked me, do I want to sell that house? My mother moved out and moved back to Jersey, 58 years ago.
And
And
they're
they
still
keep calling me, do I want to sell? But you know what I told them? Yeah, sell it and give me the money. I'm fine with it. I don't care if you sell
Listen,
it.
I
give
tell,
me the
that's
money.
why, that's why I tell people, if you're doing your last will and testament, you make sure it's specific. If you are, please don't leave things to chance. Don't leave things to, the family is so close, we know we'll do it together. Please
I
don't
had two
do
kids,
that.
I had air property. It can't go to nobody unless they part of my line.
But you see, Not
that's
everybody. You
heavy.
need to put things in ink because if you leave and say you have air property, it goes to all your kids. All your kids may be an issue.
You know, I only have one now, so
Okay.
that's why I didn't
No,
have
but
to
no,
worry
but in the
about it.
state of Pennsylvania too. Let's say in your will you had, I bequeath my house to Mary Jane and Sue. Mary Jane and Sue, but Sue died. You did not update the will. So you have Mary Jane and Sue, and there's a note somewhere, or if she should, if they die, it goes to their descendants. So somewhere in fine print, somewhere in the will, it tend to have it. So when you're done, so if Sue died, and Sue has 5 children, her share
Yes.
is
Get
now
5
going to
ways.
her 5 children.
Yes.
Now imagine though, you have your mother died, had her house, and she died, and you're living in the house, and then you died, and your children are living in the house. The children, yes, because then you have the issues that come up. Because if, in order for you to say that, okay, you're the last one left, and it's my house, but you had brothers, you're gonna have to show the family tree to show, okay, mom and the house went to all her children, which were all 8 of them, and one of the 8 died, and then each of them are now dead. So then they had 5 children each, and you're gonna have to show that they're all gone. If you can't show that they're all gone, yes, for each, you have to show
Yeah,
proof.
Linda had to do that with her aunt.
You
I had
have
a
to show
relative
proof.
ask me, can I get a death certificate? I said, why you need a death certificate? You ain't in that.
Because there are
Family
people. Because there are people
Yeah, 'cause
who there.
I know.
Some
That's
people
not
don't
nothing
know
you can
what
believe.
their parents own, and I've had situations where the gentleman is there. He sowed his wild oats when he was young. Didn't know how many wild oats he had. He got married, had his children, and in his will he just put my children.
Okay.
So when he put my children, at the funeral, you saw all these strange people. No, I'm serious, it happened. And then we see all these strange people. Then you see them come, so, oh, I'm so and so's daughter. Oh, I'm so and so's son. So all the kids are like, who are you and where did you come from? And they have birth certificates to show.
If his name is on there.
And if his name is exactly. So we need to make sure that whatever we're doing, any documents we're preparing, we have it in ink. We're not doing anything vague. We're not saying, oh, we know the family is
I
close
wanted
and we're
to
done.
alert you that the food is beginning to come in, so when they get set up, we're gonna have to stop. But
Okay.
in the meantime, can you answer some of those questions?
Sure.
that-
Okay, let me go to this question quickly.
And also, I want to add it to that,
Hold
that,
on.
the benefits of having a trust.
The benefit of, let me answer that. That's
Okay.
easier. The benefit of having the trust is dependent on your family. If you need special needs trust, it's good for you, because if your kids can't handle it because of health, then they'll be protected. They won't end up not getting the income they're supposed to get. They will be protected. The house will be protected. Everything is protected from Medicaid. When it comes to the irrevocable trust, that's also easy, because, hey, nothing goes through probate. It just goes to where it needs to go to, but it stays in the trust. The trust owns everything, and it's going to whoever's in the family. However, the other side know that with the irrevocable trust, you do not have a say, really, once it's done.
So if you don't mind that,
If you don't mind not being in control of your assets, once the irrevocable trust is done, then you're fine. Because if you don't mind that, then anything else works. Because nobody has to pay inheritance tax, nobody has to deal with probate, nobody has to deal with debts, nothing. Because it's in an irrevocable trust, and it's now owned by the trust.
So what happens, say I put we put our house in an irrevocable trust.
the trust owns your house.
The trust owns the house, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't wanna pick, so X passes away first and then Y passes away. So then what happens, what do the children?
The children will just, the trust will be set up to say, if I pass, the house stays in the family.
Okay, you write it what
Everything.
you want.
Yes.
So if X passes first, the house stays.
Stays.
It's the deed of
Y
the
passes
trust,
first,
right?
Yes.
And then when X and Y are both gone, then the house is, you decide, so I would
Yes,
say the house is.
and the deed is going to now say
Okay,
that the home is owned by the trust.
okay, so then in that trust, you put then that child A gets the house?
In the irrevocable trust,
Right.
you can say this is when the trust. If I die, it's in the trust. It doesn't matter if you die.
So you can put
It
everything
doesn't matter.
you
You put
want the
anything
trust
you
to
want
be.
in the
You can
trust for
make-
as long as
can
you
make
want
the
it to be in the
document
trust,
what you want
and
to
you
be.
can end up saying the trust ends at this point.
But
It
who
can,
gets, but in the trust, you would write like a
Every-
will, what
everything.
happened to
The
the house.
trust is like a will.
Okay,
It's like a will, but it's forever until you say end.
Who owns the trust? Is it a bank specifically?
No, you choose who manages the trust. Because when it's the irrevocable trust, you don't manage it.
So, but you
whoever-
don't have someone to manage it.
Then
I'm
you won't
setting
do
up
an
a trust
irrevocable
now.
trust.
I'm setting
I'm
up,
sorry, what
Then
did
you don't do an irrevocable trust.
I'm
If you
setting up
don't-
a
if
trust.
you
banks
have-
change,
If
lawyers
you
could
don't
change,
have anybody that you trust
right,
to manage the trust, or an organization to manage the trust,
right.
and you are only comfortable with somebody, you know, a family member or somebody being in charge of the trust, then an irrevocable trust is not for you.
so your irrevocable trust is an agency, like a firm
Yes.
that's dealing with.
Yes, they are managing the trust.
Oh,
Can I say something? I'm in the process of setting up an irrevocable trust. I'm living, but I don't want to have my name connected to nothing. So I'm in the process of setting up an irrevocable trust.
But
But what
if you,
happens to
but
your
if,
kids
but
then?
if you, the thing is, with the irrevocable trust,
I don't have no
you
say-so.
cannot, not only that, your children who is going to manage the irrevocable
All
trust?
right, I'm setting it up with a lawyer and an accountant, a
Good,
team.
good.
Okay. We're setting it up so that I have made every condition that I can visualize ever happening, like a constitution.
Yes,
Yeah.
So I've anticipated what I can think of.
yeah.
And I have a pretty good size, 4 daughters, 5 grandchildren, okay, and great-grandchildren. So, and they're all intelligent,
Yeah.
okay, thank God. But I don't know what's coming down the road. So I've set it up in such a way that that's even taken care of in the Constitution. They will be able to manage it as beneficiaries and trustees in an organized way that I have set up.
Who is going to manage it? The
I have
the lawyers,
trustees,
the
Detroit,
lawyers.
and they're overseeing it,
That's fine.
yes.
You have to make sure, because if you're going to do an irrevocable trust, you can't end up saying, "Oh, I'm going to change it because I feel like it,"
'Cause I
or
got
"I'm going
mad
to
at
change
you
it because I
because
got
you
mad."
didn't.
No, because the beneficiaries have to agree, and the court has to agree.
And all your children are on board with this? Do they agree with your
Because I told them they
decision?
were.
So, but then apart from the irrevocable trust, the next one is the living revocable trust. With the living revocable trust, you have a say. It's your trust. You manage it, or who you want to manage it manages the trust. You can make changes, but it will not go through probate, but they will still have to pay the inheritance taxes. That's the benefit of being with the irrevocable trust. With the revocable trust, it doesn't go through the long probate process, because the probate process generally is between a year to 2 years for the average
So much can
family.
happen in that
I
time.
know.
Exactly. So because it takes that amount of time, with the living trust, it doesn't take anywhere near that long. That's the blessing.
With all these different types of insurances,
They still have to pay the inheritance tax.
all these different types of insurance, is it best to consolidate with one company, like Progressive, State Farm, or just
It
diversify.
depends on what.
'Cause it
Listen,
get
I
pretty
don't
heavy.
believe in putting all your eggs in one basket.
But
That's just me. That's just me. Not everybody. Some people prefer to just have everything in one place. Everybody is different, and you do what's best for you. You do what's best for you. Now,
How do you compare and contrast? Because they all say they're great. State Farm,
you look at their
Farmers.
their ratings. You have the AM rating. You have the different. They have 3 different ratings that they have. So you look at the ratings of the company to determine their standing, what their customer service is like, what their financial standing is like, to make sure are they A rated, B rated, B plus, C,
Is that be
C
done in
plus
Brad
plus.
Street? Done in Brad Street?
You can do
or
it. You can go
BBB?
online and find that. You can go online and find it.
Where
Say what is.
specifically?
Just go on Google. Say whatever company. What is their
If
rating?
you're in another bracket, say that you're just an average person that got a couple of dollars to leave, but you inherited quite a few couple of dollars, you know, so you're in another tax bracket.
Yes, you are.
Altogether, past the 6 digits.
Oh, please note that if you have your IRA or your 401k,
makes a
they
difference.
don't pay inheritance tax. You're paying income tax for those.
And you pay
So
dearly.
so if you have your home, you have your whatever it is, and those assets are going to your children or whoever it is, your children the 4.5%, the siblings the 12%, and everybody else the 15%, then your home, they fall into that category. But when it comes to your money, it's income tax. So what tax bracket are you in?
Yeah, it changes-
So
it
when
changes-
you
it
get the
changes
money,
because
you were once a 12% bracket. But you get the money, you're now a 30% bracket.
That's, so income tax on what? On-
Income tax on the annuities, the IRAs, the bank accounts.
So what's the difference between the 13 and the 30? What?
No, I'm saying you're in a different, depending on how much you're inheriting, it will put you into it can put you into a different tax bracket.
Even when you don't take, like most of my inherited money is still growing money for me, making money for me. I don't touch it, very seldom do I touch it.
You spend it on yourself. I
Well,
ain't leaving nothing.
No,
I
but
want
no.
to have that attitude,
Yeah.
but I'm not frugal like that. I spend what I
You
want to
should be
spend.
laying up in the beach right now.
Only
No,
reason
I'm not.
laying at the beach because I'm not flying right
Oh,
now.
right.
And I'm not, you know, I would be, and I can afford to go if I
Yes,
wanted
that's
to.
good. You need to
I am
go.
spending my money on me, and people
That-
trying to
because
figure
they're-
out how much money I
No,
got. you know.
say if you need to, everybody needs to know what is what. So if you know that you are the type that you want to just, hey, I'm going to enjoy my life. If you think you can spend off the money, that's one thing. But if you would prefer to say, okay, I am 70 years old and my mother lived to 120 and my father lived to 130. And my sister died at 200. Then I may live to 150.
And I'm living comfortably.
And you're okay. So you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, you make sure it works for you and it lasts. So you don't squander. Even if you spend, you don't squander. Okay? Okay, let me do this quickly because the thing is, okay. Okay. Yeah, how can seniors maximize what cash or money savings they may have for future security? I'd say to you, if the money is in your bank account, put it into an indexed annuity. It makes more sense.
Okay.
Because the market, even if the dollar is crashing, if the market goes up, your money is going up. If the market goes down, you're keeping what you've gained and you're not losing any money.
And they're talking about buying gold now.
They talk about gold, but
Yeah.
gold, everything, the value of stuff, gold is like an investment.
Yeah, it goes up and down.
It goes up and it goes down. So if it goes up, you're smiling.
Yeah.
If it goes down, then you cry.
All the commercials don't tell you that though. See, they
Yeah.
make you think when you're shaking that
So
gold
the
in-
annuity is actually
The,
more secure
the
than
index,
stock.
the indexed annuity is more secure than
than
stock
stock.
because you are sure that if the market goes crazy, whatever you've gained, you're not going to lose.
How do you go about that?
We can sit down and talk about that.
Oh, okay.
If you want, I can sit down and I can go through step by step, but I'm gonna give you some company names, options, and the options that they have and how each works. So I'll have a spreadsheet for you, so you can give it out.
Okay.
But that makes more sense if you're thinking about, okay, I want to have my money to grow. If the market goes crazy, I want to make sure what I have to either give to my kids, or if I want income, I can give myself income if I want to for life. So you have the options open to you.
Now, if you get, say, an index
Speak louder,
annuity,
please.
okay, if you get an index annuity, would that be something that you would also include in a trust? or
You
put it-
can. You can. You can put in a trust too. But at least you know, if it is in the trust, you know no matter what's going on, you're not losing anything. It'll always grow. If the market goes crazy, topsy-turvy, you know that you'll keep your gains. You'll keep your principal and you'll keep your gains. If the market goes down, you're good. If the market goes up, you're still smiling.
There's something called the waterfall method, which is a method that Rockefeller had some people to think in a think tank to put together that worked for his family. The waterfall method. Have you heard of that?
Not yet, but I'm
Okay.
reading it. I'm reading it.
Okay. But, so that the waterfall idea of it going from down, like that's a intergenerational wealth being built. And you can do it with the insurance,
Always insurance. Always
and
insurance.
evidently this annuity thing
Yes,
is
listen.
something that is going to
All annuity, the indexed annuity and life insurance. I tell people, you know how the rich stay rich? They take out life insurance on their kids.
and the earlier you get it, the cheaper,
If the cheaper it is,
Yes, it is.
you get permanent life insurance. Because when your kids are young, it's cheap. The premium is
Yes,
the premium is not going up. So you get a life insurance, and you tell the person, I want to max it out as much as possible, so that cash value grows in it. So if later on my kids want to buy a house, with life insurance, you can, especially the universal life ones, the cash value grows really quickly. So you can pull money from it without any interest. It's a loan to yourself. So you take out a $250,000 policy on yourself or on your child, and it's maxed. So when your child hits 18, 21, they want to buy a house. The cash value is a nice chunk of change. That's how some people take the money out. It's they flip houses. They take the money from their life insurance, buy the house, flip the house, then get their profit, and the money they spend, they put it back in. Then they do it again because they're letting their life insurance work for them,
and don't
so that
pay
they don't have to be going into their pocket to take out anything.
and don't have to pay for student loans.
Would you do this when children are little, right? Or children are grown?
You can do it when they're
can do
little. You
anytime.
can do it anytime you want to.
But you can have more than
It
one
depends
life
on
insurance
one
policy.
and on what you want to do and your plans. Because some people say, okay, because they have the 529 thing that they do for kids for scholarship and food stuff, but the interest isn't that high.
My
But if they
I'm
do the
doing it
universal life,
so
for
that
the
the
I mean, by the
trust
time
will
they're
pay
ready.
for the life insurance, not the parents. They don't have to pay
Exactly,
for
it makes sense because if you have a life insurance policy, that's how the rich stay rich. The
me
index
tell you
annuity
this.
and the life insurance.
So you're buying it for, Johnny, Mary, and Sue,
Mm-hmm.
and they're young adults. And so you're putting out money every month, but how do you get, so in a couple years when they need the money, you're kind of
You're just pulling from it.
just pull it out.
Yeah,
I have
because you can say if you know, say your kids are, you say, okay, they're in their, how old are you? Yeah, okay.
31, 29, 24.
Okay, do they want to buy a house? Do they own their house? Do they own their house?
No, they don't have a house now.
Okay, so the question, when do they plan to retire? Because there's a 30-year mortgage, more often than not. So if they're gonna buy their house at 60, well, it don't make sense at 60, because by then you're going to be paying a mortgage until you're 90. If they have this insurance that they maxed out, and let's say they say, okay, mom, in the next 10 years I want to buy a house. Say, okay, So the goal is to have this amount of cash value by the time they hit that age.
So
They put it
technically,
out.
I'm taking up the policy, but I mean, I could like, you know.
They can do it on themselves
Oh,
too.
okay, yeah, because I'm saying, you know,
They can do it too because it's in their planning, everything. That's why we need to all sit and have a plan of action.
Right.
So if you have a plan of action, you know you hear about this. It makes sense for your children to take out that kind of policy on themselves. If they can, max it out. Because it's with the cash value will grow quickly. And by the time max it out meaning because for an insurance not to be an investment, but an insurance, the amount of cash to growth has to be a certain percentage. So they can go up to X amount of dollars. But the cash value, the money they're putting in, the cash value cannot exceed the death benefit.
Can I tell you about a situation? I taught a girl that moved to Philadelphia, a white girl, and she was going to school at Temple. She actually bought a house in South Philly around 4th and South, and it was a three family home. She was able to stay in one apartment herself and rent it out the other two. She did not, her parents, and I didn't know how it was happening, I just thought it was such a good idea. Instead of her taking out a student loan, the one apartment was paying for her student loan, for her education. The other apartment was paying for the house. And she had a free place to live.
Because
And
you
then
have
when
to
she
plan.
finished, when she graduated from school, she could use that money to invest in another piece of property.
Everybody, more than
Do the insurance. I think it
a
was.
lot
I
of
didn't
people,
know.
a lot of people I know, they buy their homes young and they're to buy and flip and so on. They use their insurances. They got their insurances and they made sure that they had it for a while. So they made sure they maxed it out.
I didn't know
And
what
it
you
was
doing.
growing cash value. So they took the cash value, pull out to pay for what they're paying for, fix up the house, sold the house, and they have the profits. And whatever they paid, they put it back because it's always there when they need it.
It's like having your own bank and not having
Yes,
to worry about
you
whether
don't
you
have to
pass
go to the
credit
bank
or
to get
not.
no interest. You
No-
don't have
no
any
credit.
no
Worry
credit
about
score. Don't have to
Back
go to
in the
the.
day, we didn't know.
No,
about
didn't know
Nobody
about
talked
it. I didn't
about it.
understand
When
what she
we
was
turned
doing. I just thought,
16, my
wish I
mother
could
put-
do it.
My mother opened a bank account of us when we were 16, with her name on it. And she controlled it, but she put money in it every week. Every week she put money in it, so that we would have when we got, older. Now, my girls turned 16, I did the same thing, so don't touch
But
my
the
money.
interesting thing is, now see, your mother was evidently younger than my mother. Because I remember going to the bank with my mother, and she wanted to actually just get a money from a bank account that she and my father had. Without his signature, she couldn't do it.
No, she couldn't, no.
With the mail.
Couldn't do it.
Because
He was still living, that was the
no,
problem.
because
No,
they don't
women.
even, at
Women
that
didn't have
time
no
women
rights.
didn't have any rights.
Women
Yeah,
didn't have no rights.
that
And I
was
was a
years ago.
kid, and I remember that.
That's why we have to make sure. Well, we have to make sure that we have our house in order. That we know what we know, and since we now know what we know, we do what we need to do to get our house in order. Because too many of us wait until the nth hour, and then we're freaking out.
Everybody fights.
And then there's some people who they work and then they retire, and then when they retire they are realizing that their income isn't enough to pay the bills. Then they have to get another job, and where they're working now they're earning less per hour than from their previous job, and then their supervisor is somebody who is a teenager who is telling them what to do and not treating them that well, and they have to suck it up because they have no choice.
I
You
want
don't want to do that.
I want to thank Esther so much, because they're almost finished, but Esther, I want to get this in. I want to thank her so much, and I want you all to look on the bottom of this for her phone number. So that
Yes, if you
I
have
know
any
you have.
questions, you can always call. And we can
Yes.
always talk.
Yes, and thank you. I mean, you've really given us so much to think about. And is there anything that anybody else has that they want
Any
to ask her
questions,
before we
anything?
break up?
Everybody?
When I called, when I said.
Okay. So if you have questions, just call. But please make sure you go through the checklist. And if you need If you have any questions, you call me. If you need information, you call me. Just get it done, please.
Can I ask you?
And-
Work for yourself, or do you
yes, I work with multiple companies. So I try not. When I started, I worked with one company, but I realized that working with one company isn't always the best thing for the client. But sometimes you can't give them the best bang for their buck. So yeah.
So you actually can sell it, we can buy
I sell-
insurance from you?
you can buy insurance from me.
And what about
you
this
can
index
get the
annuity
annuities
investment?
from me. You
Oh,
can,
we can?
Yes, you can get the
Okay,
annuities
'cause I'm
from
really
me.
interested in that.
You can get it. You can get any questions you have. If I can't do it, I will let you know and I will point you in the right direction.
I appreciate so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So what is your title? Are you estate planner or intellectual properties attorney?
No, estate and retirement.
What, say that again?
Estate and retirement planning.
Okay.
You have your own company or you work for?
Yeah, I have my own company, but I work with different insurance companies.
So if I wanted to set up a meeting with you, I would contact you on your Gmail?
Just call me.
Okay, fantastic.
And she's easy to contact.
I will all, if I don't answer my phone at that time, I will be calling you back before the day is up. I return calls.
And responds to text.
Yes, I respond to text messages. No, I'm trying to get to churches to talk to their people.
And so much we don't know.
Because I meet so many people after the fact.
Yeah.
When all hell is going on, and they want me to fix it after all hell is going on. So I'm trying to get to folks before the hell. So I go to Bethel Deliverance on Shelton Avenue. So I do workshop at my church, and then someone was there and said, "Can you come to my church?"
Have you
And I said, "Sure."
Pastor
I haven't spoken to all of them. But I'm gonna talk to
How you feeling today?
I think he's in charge of something, so I'm gonna talk to him. Yeah.
You always great people.
Well, we always looking for stuff. It just happened with right on time because we were talking about the trust. And I called her. Okay, this is good. Pastor brought her card to me and said she wants to come. I said, well, I know this is what I want her to talk about. Okay. And I don't know you, but I feel like I do.
Can I tell you? I can say the same thing. When I came here, I said, I knew it was you. The minute I looked, I said, I knew it was you. I knew it was you.
Well, listen, the food here is free.
My sister runs a pantry.
Oh, really?
Yes, she's at Bright Hope Baptist.
Oh,
And they
okay.
have an awesome pantry.
Yeah.
They
Reverend Gray was the one who, and Bright Hope was that's the one,
Yeah.
Reverend Gray years ago.
yeah, but
Years ago.
now the pantry is massive.
Well, this is just a little bit every 2 weeks, and it comes from Whole Foods.
My sister, oh well, they get from Philibonga.
Okay.
They get from Giant, Acme,
Really?
I can't remember the other place. 3 different places. They get pastry, they get cakes, they get every food you could think of.
Wow. Well, we're just a small one. We're just a small, we're a small congregation actually. And so we just, volunteers, they come in just every 2 weeks and go down and pick it up from Whole Foods.
They
Yeah.
should talk to ShopRite too. The ShopRite,
Yeah.
ShopRite does a lot of giveaways.
Yeah, I don't know if they want to do it any bigger because we don't have maintenance people. Okay, let me see. I hope it's taped because I'm not really good at this. So I hope we got this.